Greetings from LA, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today, if you don't mind, I would very much like to continue on with our journeys, our discussions, our discoveries, and our explorations with respect to the recent releases made by the lineup, the Blu-ray lineup that is associated with the Criterion Collection and the Criterion Channel and JANUS films. And this lineup of Blu-ray home media releases is known as JANUS Contemporaries. The JANUS Contemporaries lineup, as you may know, has, I think, been going very healthily and very strong over the course of, say, this past year or so, with a number of Blu-ray releases of films that have been made and released over, say, the past year or so. A very strong selection, and I have been repeatedly very warmly surprised and pleasantly engaged with all of the works that I've seen thus far, many of which have been first-time watches for me. And that is also true for this next film that is one of the latest of the lineup of the JANUS Contemporaries of this year, 2024. And this is a work which is described as being from the year 2023. The name of the filmmaker is Lila Avilés, and the name of the work is Tótem. This is a film which is another film that I'm watching for the first time, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do so, thanks to this JANUS Contemporaries release of a work which is from the filmmaker Lila Avilés, and this is from 2023. It's my first time to watch a film by Avilés, and I understand that this is her second feature film, according to, among other things, her wonderful and really quite informative interview that's part of this JANUS Contemporaries Blu-ray release. But my first time to watch this film, and it was incredibly stirring and very moving in a number of ways that I'll try to express throughout this video discussion. And the film here is Tótem. I was very emotionally stirred by this for reasons which perhaps might make themselves clear upon, say, a general plot or story structure discussion of this work, Tótem. I again want to try to avoid speaking in too much detail, again, for the benefit of those who have not yet seen this work, Tótem. But please note that it is, I mean, to cut to the chase, it's an extraordinary, surprisingly, it's an extraordinary film with a lot of surprises, filled with much charm and depth and sorrow, and it has a kind of true sense of say, currency that I think can make one really, it make one sort of subjectively be quite engaged with it, while also being quite moved by the story and context. So in other words, that's my way to say that it can move you as a drama in and of itself, Tótem, and also it can stir you potentially in terms of your own feelings. It certainly did for me. In terms of how I felt about the moving nature of the movements of the drama itself, with regard to the young girl Sol, and what is happening with this birthday party regarding her father, and how the story, very much established in that context, still very much reminds me of a lot of things, maybe both tangentially and also quite more directly, of sort of my own maybe spirited feelings about my family and myself growing up, and also myself as an adult from different vantage points in my life, etc. So it's an incredible document in that way, and I was quite uh, quite taken with this. And I was very pleasantly surprised and wonderfully delighted. And I am already a great, great admirer of this filmmaker artist, Lila Avilés. And so I look forward to more opportunities to watch her works where I can. I understand her first film, as was mentioned by her, um, a few years back, is called in English The Chambermaid, which I have, as of this video, not yet seen, but I must now try to watch it. If Tótem is any indication, I mean, this is an incredible, incredible film. So it is essentially a story of it's focusing in on a family, but one can say it one of its main foci is a young girl, and this is Sol, and she's around 7 years old. And we understand that later in the day, she and her family, other members of this large extended family, are going to prepare a birthday party for the little girl Sol's father. And so many people, aunts, uncles, grandparents, the parents, and also cousins and nieces. And so it's a kind of extended family, and also friends are going to be invited later and kind of attend later. But the film is essentially a kind of build up from the early parts of the day and making preparations and getting the rooms ready and cooking the food, preparing the food, baking the cake, hopefully getting it right, but perhaps risking overcooking it and burning it, and all that, getting the balloons and making sure all the preparations for the party and the tables are set and the guests, and also making sure that the house is appropriately, or the rooms are appropriately clean and cleansed, both sort of physically and also in terms of a kind of spiritual presence type of effect. All the while, again, the point being to celebrate as a birthday party. This man, this gentleman, who is the father of this young girl's soul. Now we are also quite immediately uh, introduced to the point that Soul's father is dying, and he is when we see him early on, he is we understand not only is he suffering from an illness, which apparently is a terminal illness, but he looks very, very weakened and physically frail, and also therefore the kind of subtext, or perhaps not even sub, but the actual the textual forefront, if you will, of this party is that it will very likely be the final birthday party that he will have before he is expected to pass away, before he's expected to die. And so this becomes a very poignant portrait of a preparing of a birthday party for someone who is well loved. And you can see there's so much devotion. There are people who maybe are getting ready for the party and wanting it to go very well. But as with any type of family, and as with any type of, say, relationships with a lot of people present, and a lot of emotions, and a lot of pressure, sometimes things might go wrong, and these little things might bring out those little rivalries that are present there, or maybe those little ticks, or little eccentricities that might make some people nervous, or might make other people go and completely just drive them up the wall. These sorts of eccentricities come into the open, and they are, I think, very playful and very much part of the daily stream of life, slices of life. But what Lila Avilés does very well is she makes us, or she reminds us that these are yet very wonderfully sliced slices of life, finely cut slices of life, down to the very details of the decor, and just moments of characters maybe just sitting and wondering, and maybe a look in their eye as they're saying something, perhaps not knowing, but then ultimately realizing that what they're doing maybe has some really profound double meaning. And so, case in point, baking a cake. There's a really brilliant scene involving the preparation of a cake and trying to get it right, but getting the timing off so the cake is burnt in the oven. So that's a kind of slice of life moment. Things happen. Uh, Things get overcooked. Things get burnt in the oven in the kitchen. I mean, it's a fairly common occurrence. And so that could be said to be a kind of slice of life moment. So this film captures that type of daily routine in, I think, a lovely, intimate way. But what Totem does very well is it then reminds us that those slices of life not only are feeling genuine and quite warm and intimate, they are also in the context of the uh, uh, impending death of the father. These slices of life also carry with it a whole kind of weight because these moments will likely never come again for the father, and so there will never be a birthday party, and so there will never be an opportunity to bake a cake for the father, and so thus that makes the slice of life all the more heavier and all the more filled with a type of immediate weight that I think hangs on everyone's shoulders. I mean, you can feel the pressure of it slowly build as the day progresses of the film. There's a lightness of touch and joking and also running around and siblings getting angry at siblings and parents getting angry at children, and that type of bubbly slice of life aspect of a large family unit that's coming together for a type of large gathering of a birthday party. It's the stuff of great drama, family drama, because it feels very authentic and very genuine. But then you realize, yes, this is the last that this person will experience, this father will experience. So that's one thing. Also, therefore, it really makes everyone else who is attending this party on edge, in a manner of speaking. Uh, Perhaps uh, maybe there are some family members who might regard this birthday party as being a kind of charade or kind of ironic and unnecessary show of a kind of almost maybe a virtual signaling type of effort to show a sort of externalized affection, however accurate or however misplaced that viewpoint might be. In other words, maybe some people might be put off by the fact that they regard this show as a kind of a performative act rather than something genuine, while others might look at this as being something that is very much, again, a show of an opportunity for not just family dynamics, but in particular father-daughter dynamics. And one of the things that is emphasized, I think, is showing one last time something that the father wants to do for the daughter in a way that I think is very moving and very heartwarming. One last show of affection in this very public way. I mean, there's details about what the father is willing to do in order to get ready for his own birthday party, and there's allusions to the fact that he is under a lot of pain, and that even things like dressing for the party or taking a shower, getting ready for the party, these take a lot of effort and a lot of physical pain is apparently being felt by him, and you can tell it's quite an ordeal, but you know that he is doing it for a set of reasons or reason. And also with his daughter in mind, and so that idea of a father-daughter bond becomes very important. But again, from the daughter's perspective, one begins to wonder and become maybe concerned or maybe sympathetic and wonder how much does the little girl's soul, how much does she realize about this idea of the impending death of her father, and how much is it still something that is not quite registering. And you can get senses and glimpses of this all the way throughout the film. I mean, it's a remarkable performance. Um, um, uh, this is Naima Sentes. It's a remarkable performance of this young girl, where we see flashes of a kind of wonder. She's looking out and noticing perhaps conversations between adults that has a lot of import and a lot of baggage and weight to it, maybe referring to the birthday party being the last. Also, there are some very frank discussions that are being had with the young girl about the reason why this is going on, and the father being so sickly and so ill, but the party going on. So it's not like this news is being shielded from her. It's not like people are unwilling to tell her what's going on. I mean, so there's a sense that people have been telling her, so there's a sense that she knows. But how much does she? How much is it registering with her? We get glimpses that perhaps at some moments, she is enjoying and carefree, and at other moments, maybe the news is really hitting her. And perhaps, indeed, that news is always within her from the very beginning, but she is expressing many different variety of emotions, as is very natural and very reasonable considering the circumstances. It's a party festive atmosphere, and rather than being something that is a show of a type sort of performative tragedy. On the contrary, this is a very festive, almost celebratory, festive occasion, and there's a lot of happiness. There's a lot of expressions of love. There's a lot of feelings of wonderful, maybe gratitude. While at all the same, people quite perhaps perceptibly and perhaps quite noticeably knowing that this will most likely be the last time they will be able to make this type of show of affection towards the man of honor at this party. And so one wonders too how much of this is registering with the young daughter, the young girl, especially when there are moments of just such tender emotion and connection between parent and child, that one really stops and thinks and wonders what must be going through the heart and mind of this young girl. And those moments of insight and flashes of a type of revelation in the performance are stunning and very moving, quite moving indeed. It's quite it's quite emotionally, and I mean this very positively. It has quite an emotional, draining quality to it, especially as the film progresses. I mean, there are these at the same moment there's these great moments of slice of life family drama that are interwoven throughout the proceedings, and it has a type of tapestry effect which is so lovely. But then it grows and grows and grows to the point where daytime slowly turns into evening hours and nighttime hours, and one realizes that time is running out. And so, what does that mean in terms of one's recognition of life and death, and what does this mean in terms of the party, and how does this register in the sort of the context of a celebration of life, and also recognition of the inevitability of death, and how are we to view this young girl who must perhaps at some point really reckon with the very difficult news, but do it in this setting of a party, surrounded by family and friends who obviously love her father and also love her. But how must she feel? And those glimpses of inner emotional revelation on the part of the performance really have a power and a kick to them that is quite undeniable. And so this film, Tótem, is a remarkable achievement. Really is a remarkable achievement. I knew nothing about this film. I knew nothing. I plead complete ignorance when it comes to the work of Avilés, and so I came in not knowing what to expect, and it drew me in immediately, and I loved how the camera, it felt so uh, unintrusive on the one hand, but it also felt very close on the other. It has this way of almost kind of flying throughout. It's like, I mean, it's almost like a kind of, I don't want to say maybe fly on the wall, but I mean that again very positively. I mean, there's this way in which it doesn't feel like you feel the camera. It feels like it's just part of the air. I don't know if that makes any sense. There's a levity of the way that the camera moves, which I think is quite magical. It has a sense of magic to it. And then because we are really capturing moments that are very, very intimate at times. Um, moments of just people just maybe standing alone and breathing, and just what must be going through their minds. I mean, that's a very powerful private moment, and so the camera is able to capture those moments so remarkably well, exceptionally well, but do it in a way that does not feel at any point intrusive on that character's space. So um, it's as I say, I was very much taken with this work. Very, very moved. It has a possibility of reminding one of one's own life, even as I say, a tangential way. The um, uh, at some point or other, perhaps, I certainly have experienced in my own way, life and death in the context of, say, family members. And I know I'm not the only person in the entire world who's felt this way. I know this is something that is experienced by many, if not everyone, in this world in some form or another. And so this film being able to trigger in me that or awaken in me that or stir up in me those sorts of very mixed emotions. I think is an incredible accomplishment on the part of this film, while also, as I say, telling its own story in its own context from in this world. I've never right, because it's set in a type of a family household in Mexico, and so I've maybe my personal experiences might be different than that of Sol and the others in this really lovely and large family that's taking in the story taking place in Mexico. But there are ways in which this film draws me in on a very personal level, and I would dare say that I think it is very true for other people who watch this film as well. That you will be drawn in to its power, while also enjoying its own story, and then being reminded of your own story as well, in whatever capacity that might mean. So that's certainly true for me. So I was very taken with this film. I think it's a lovely work, very powerful, and it's made me so eager to explore other work by Avilés, Lila Avilés. So the chambermaid, I must try to find as much as to the extent possible. But in any event, this is the work from 2023, which is Tótem. So I have this, which is the Blu-ray, the JANUS Contemporaries Blu-ray of this film, the Avilés work, which is Tótem from 2023. It's described in the back as being color, 5.1 surround in Spanish with English subtitles, 1.33 to 1 aspect ratio, and just a number of points. With regard to the Blu-ray, this is a Blu-ray. I have the disc in the player right now. I apologize for the poor presentation on my part. That's completely on me, not on the film itself, but on me. So I apologize if it's a little bit hard to read. But this is the menu. It's a lovely image here, which is also part of this. Which I assume it's related to how this film is marketed in terms of poster art. But it's really lovely with the young girl's image in the center. But we have the movie, play the movie, and then next is Meet the Filmmakers, which is 16 minutes. This is very much part of each of the JANUS Contemporaries releases thus far. We have a little supplement, which is like a one-on-one interview with the filmmaker. I think they're taken from sort of Meet the Filmmakers series, which I understand maybe is associated with the Criterion channel. And this is no exception to that. This is a one-on-one interview with the director, Lila Avilés, and this is what a great introduction for me to the to the filmmaker that is Avilés. And and so here she speaks, for example, about this film being a very personal story and details which, in the story which, according to her, mirror some aspects of her own life. In particular, some aspects she is also a mother. She describes herself as a mother, and a part of her journey is telling a story that's relevant to her own daughter. And so that's maybe the story of the young girl's soul in this picture, in this film. Um, and and so this was a very personal story, and she says something very interesting here too, that she remarks about how this is her second feature film, and that when she was making her first feature film, Chambermaid, she talks about maybe the second film curse of some sort. You know, that maybe a filmmaker who is starting out, the second film tends to be the difficult work to make, or something of the sort. But for her, interestingly enough, as she mentions it, says that she had the idea, or it began to creatively gestate around the time of the making of her first film. So she knew what she wanted to make after she finished her first film. That's what she says. So she felt very relieved in that way. So the pressure was off, which I think is a really fascinating a comment from an artist like her. You know, I'm not an artist. So I don't have that artistic sensibility about me. So whenever I hear comments like this, I'm so fascinated by that. So that's very awesome. And she also talks to Vilistas here about her own background and watching movies. She talks about her one of her ways of learning about movies was to watch the same VHS tapes over and over and over again. I think she mentions watching Dumbo like thousands and thousands of times, because as she says, it was one of the few films that was available to her at the time. But then there were other film avenues that were opening up to her as she was growing up. A Cineteca, where great movies would always be shown, as she said. And then one of the one of the filmmakers and one of the films that she cites here is Cienada, the Martel film, the Christian Martel film. So this is something that the cites as being a great inspiration in terms of a powerful story, so stirringly told, and also the filmmaker Martel herself, and being a great inspiration for her. And so Avies also speaks about her background in filmmaking, film production, and also being very experienced in many different departments, as she says. And so and then also all the and then during this time being a filmmaker in this way, she says she also became a mother. And so then she talks about the sort of creative process in terms of her making a film like The Chambermaid, and again, watching this interview makes me so curious about. I want to watch The Chambermaid so much now. This first feature from her, or this first film from her, excuse me, that. Because she speaks so much about it in this interview. It's really very wonderful. But then she talks about some filming aspects of Tótem. There were difficulties which about how this production really coincided with the pandemic, COVID pandemic. So there's some shots here. You can see people, and some of them are masked and the like. So I mean, it must have been very difficult logistically, among other things, to film, to plan a production while all this stuff was going on with the pandemic. But that's one aspect there. But this also talks about the casting, talking about the casting of the father, and also the role of the father, also talking casting with the young girl Naima. The character's name is Sol, and you know, this being a process where yes, as a in terms of casting her films, she doesn't, as she says, in a very in a really quite charming way. She says that it's not like she does a casting call, and all these people show up to the audition. She goes and tries to find the people, essentially as non-actors or non-professionals. So it's quite something. And then in that, there's a kind of spark or magic that occurs in a lot of the performances. Again, I refer to it as slices of life. She refers to that part as, and again, part of my pronunciation terribleness here, but um, La Hiribia, which I didn't know that word before, but that's something I learn something new every day. And then Avias says something here that everything she says is very profound. But one of the things in particular I was quite uh, really taken by is how she views herself as the artist vis-a-vis her art, which is the film that she's making or directing or writing. And she says something which is very profound here, and I'm paraphrasing. And she says that at some point, the artist or the person has to realize that um, the story is more important than oneself. The story is more important than oneself, which I thought was incredibly profound, and it displays so many things. First of all, it feels like in many ways that's right and that's true in the context of a film like Totem, which I mentioned before. The camera has this unintrusive manner, but still managed to be very intimate. It's almost like the invisible hand or the fly on the wall type of effect, which is done to great effect, by the way. So, in many ways, you don't feel the fingerprints of the filmmaker per se. When you watch Totem. So, in terms of the style, this comment by Avilés is spot on. And also, it's very remarkable because it shows a great deal of modesty, which I find very wonderful indeed. And it shows a type of grace and really faith in the belief in the characters, and also showing those moments, those little tiny moments. Tiny, I mean, they feel, as use that word, as I say, the mundane, the ordinary. But these, again, they carry so much weight to them because they just last but a moment and then they are gone. And so there's a thumbs up there. I apologize, but my point is that. Uh, there's a kind of total respect that she, as the artist, has for the subject matter that she is trying to tell, the story she's trying to tell, which I find extraordinary. That is really extraordinary. And you can also tell it just in the way that she's speaking, and she's talking here about kind of the interwoven nature of sort of feelings and emotions and ideas. It feels like organically coming from a sort of an emotionally based an emotionally type of intuitive approach that is also very much grounded in a type of open sense of philosophy that she obviously displays and has, which I find remarkable and incredible. So, and she says this too about looking at the film Totem. She says Totem represents many things, and it can mean different things to different people, which I found. I mean, that might be obvious to some. To me, I find this extraordinary. I find this an extraordinary statement because it feels so true for this film. And again, it shows as that type of artist taking a step back, allowing the work itself to sort of speak for itself. But also, it's linked to what I was trying to say earlier about how this film it's contextualized in the context of this family in Mexico, but at the same time, I don't have any direct experience in terms of living in Mexico or experiencing this exact story of soul and family and company, but it still stirs up in me my own feelings and my own experiences that I recall as I watch the film in my own very private way. And so I think that what she says here, Totem represents many things. That's so on the nose. That's so spot on. And also, she says something. Everything she says is profound, but we're constantly discovering things. Um, and these kinds of discoveries, again, in Totem, that might be discoveries that lead to magical events and discoveries. They might also lead to some very grim, harsh realities. The discovery of the impending nature of death, for instance, or the discovery of the people that we love will not always be there. I mean, I'm thinking about that now. That is incredibly powerful and frightening and scary thing. And Totem touches upon these in such a maybe quiet, yet also very, very keen-eyed way. Yes, we are constantly discovering things. So I think Avies has a uh, a profoundly moving sort of view of the world, and her perspective is extraordinary. And so, and what a great interview that she gives here. So you've got to check out this interview. It's approximately 16 minutes. It's really quite wonderful, really wonderful indeed. And for me, and a great introduction into the world of Avies. And so, and again, further comments about Tótem and its background, and how to possibly read the film in many possible ways. So, well done for being able to include this. I love this. This is great. And then we also have, rounding this out, the trailer, which is part of the proceedings there. So you can watch the Meet the Filmmakers interview, and you have the trailer. And then we also have the insert, which is the essay by Michael Joshua Rowan, which is called Tótem Parting Gift, which is really nice. It's, as per customary for these Blu-rays for JANUS Contemporaries, it's a single folded insert like this, but it's the essay is incredibly well written, as always. So to the point. Again, it gets right to the essence of the film and discussion in a way that's much better than, for instance, I could ever hope to achieve. So, Tótem Parting Gift. So please check this out if you can, as part of the film. And so, yes, this is the work which is Tótem, the Lila Avilés film, Tótem. Again, I was taken so much with this. Wonderful surprise. Very delighted, very moved. And made me think a lot, and reminded me of a lot of things, both happy and sad, and everything in between. What a powerful film this is, which is the film Tótem. All right, my dear friends, so let me end it there, and so I will continue on with the JANUS Contemporaries film discussions. They're all great, Tótem and others, so we'll continue on with these and other film discussions here. And so until we meet again, please continue to be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great movies, including other works by Lila Avilés, including other films in the JANUS Contemporaries lineup, and beyond. So until we see each other again, my dear friends, stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.